Hello, I'm Susan Regan, host of Connecticut Valley Views, and I am delighted today to have as my guest Anna Wittick, and she is the Chief Administrator of Oak Hill School in Hartford, Connecticut. And we're going to be talking about some very special programs for very special people in special education. And Anna, it's just a delight to see you again and have you on the program.
It's wonderful being here, and thank you very much for having me.
Now, Anna, give us a little background on Oak Hill School. It's been around for, I think you're celebrating 130 years. Is that right?
Just about there, yes.
Okay.
Yes, Oak Hill.
Yeah, where it started, where the programs have evolutionized, and the whole thing, so people have a sense of what it is. People probably heard of it, not quite sure what it's about.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love our history, and part of why I'm still here at Oak Hill is that history and that being part of something much bigger than ourselves.
How long have you been there? How long?
Oh, I am going on 36 years.
Wow.
36, I think maybe even 37.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No worries at all. So Oak Hill School has been, as you said, been around for about 130 years, started as a school for the blind and truly evolved its services and what it is and morphed into what it is today. And today, Oak Hill, as a large organization, serves people with disabilities of all ages. And those services include residential, school, assistive technology. We do have a couple of camps, so recreational activities. And it truly involves the individuals that we serve and their families. And Oak Hill School is part of that larger organization. So today we have about 140 students, I think. And we are a state approved special education school. What that means really is that we follow all the federal and state regulations, and we partner with public school districts to provide the most appropriate educational program for district students. So it really is it's a beautiful partnership, and it's a lot of fun individualizing program for each student.
Sure. Now, when we talk about serving the community, and you do have people, I think they age and range as young as 3 to what age?
3 through 22. Actually, the legislation just changed. Where it is clear that students are entitled to education to the age of 22.
Okay. Now, and would you say the greater proportion is within an age range of what to what? Where is the greatest quote unquote student body you have?
The greatest numbers of is age range between 13-ish to 22.
Okay.
And truly it's during COVID and right after COVID, and even today, we are seeing referrals more of a younger children, even as young as 6 years old. But truly what has been happening is these little ones, if they're 6 now, they were 3 years old when COVID hit. Nobody had eyes on them, and the families just dealt with the special needs that they were not maybe even aware that the children had. Well,
that's the thing, because they were being masked, and part of the communication that you share obviously is visual, because some of them perhaps can't hear or can't speak well, but they go through the emotions on the face, and the face is being covered up. So it makes it twice as difficult.
Absolutely. And us educators physically did not have eyes on the children because they were at home. They were not coming to school during COVID. So now after COVID, they're 6 years old. So we missed few of those crucial years of providing that educational service, and the kids are being referred to private schools at a very young age because the districts are not able to meet their needs. The needs are high, especially social emotional learning.
Okay, so give us a sense then, so our viewers will understand. Is it a learning disability? Is the greatest, I guess, the greatest need for support to these young people? Is it emotional? Is it physical because of physical deformities or inabilities? I'm sure it's a broad range, but if some of our viewers may be parents who are thinking that their children are being tested and this might need to be, where is that greatest deficiency?
Susan, it varies. It varies, but mostly what we're seeing in a private school sector so when I say private school sector, that's the kids that the school districts are not able to serve appropriately. So they refer them out to us because we're more specialized.
Yes.
It's mostly behavioral issues, behavioral challenges, and social emotional challenges. Learning disability on its own, really the kids should stay with their peer group, within their own community. If we can ever provide support to the district just to kind of adjust and modify just a little bit so the child can stay in a public school, we are always willing to do that. And districts know that. We do communicate a lot. Now, when you need that specialized attention, then it's probably better that the child is outplaced at least for a little while. And our ultimate goal is to return a child back to the district. That is, we've done our job at that point. Truly.
Sure. Now, when you're making these defining of what the program will be for the child, you have a large group of people involved. You obviously have people representative from your environment and from your association. You have the parents involved. You have teachers involved with the child that is already under their guidance. And what else do you have? You have doctors. Who is involved in making the decision it's time to move them to Oak Hill? And then who makes the decision, I think we can transition from Oak Hill back to a normal curriculum?
So there's a team of people, which is called Planning and Placement Team. Planning and Placement Team is, like you said, parents, one of the most important team members, educators. Yes, it could be a pediatrician. It could be a psychiatrist. It could be a social worker, therapist, whoever is involved in in providing services to that child should be part of that team and should be attending what's called a PPT meeting to make decisions around the educational program for the child. So the PPT meetings, really they involve, at that point, we may not even be involved. The PPT may decide, well, you know what? We've tried in a district. We really tried. We need to refer this child out so that they get that specialized, focused program with hopes that they'll come back to the district in a public school. At that point, a referral is sent to us or another private school. And at that point, we get involved and become part of that planning and placement team, that PPT. So usually our PPTs are, they are pretty well attended because we do have all the therapists. We have physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech pathologists. Sometimes we do have a consulting psychiatrist that works with us, which is wonderful because he actually is observing students within their natural environment in a classroom. So he doesn't just depend on our input this is what we're seeing, but he can go and see that child.
Sure.
So it's really, really a wonderful integrated program where everybody's involved. It's one child. And we're all there to meet that child's needs.
Now, and just to clarify, this is I'm calling it a daycare curriculum. You don't have any residents that actually stay on the premises, or am I incorrect?
Oak Hill as an organization does have residential programming.
Okay. All right.
So that is not part of the school. We're not a residential school. However, we're a day school. However, some of our students do live in our group homes, Oak Hill group homes. Some of our students live in other agency group homes or foster homes. So, and that is usually involvement from more than State Department of Education, or more than a district involvement. So it's State Department, it's DCF and DDS, Department of Developmental Disabilities, many times. Sometimes it's DEMAS that is involved.
What is DEMAS? What is that?
DEMAS is mental health.
I see.
Mental health, yes.
All right. Now, I know you have an individual, you wrap a program around each student, and there's something called meaningful and functional approach to education. Give us the definition of that.
Besides just fun, that learning is fun.
Yeah. Well,
no,
learning is fun, and the only way you enjoy what you're doing is to understand. If you don't understand it, people normally say, I don't like that.
You know what? You just said it. Yeah. And that is the whole philosophy behind meaningful. What is meaningful to a child? What is meaningful to us? Meaningful and functional. What is the function of this that I'm learning? If I'm learning 2 + 2 = 4, what does that mean to me?
Sure.
If I don't put some sort of a meaning, so now maybe we're going to have a cooking activity.
Yes.
And, but we need to double up on our ingredients because it says here that we need 2 eggs. Well, we need to add 2 more eggs to this recipe because we're doubling up. Right. So that's 2 + 2. So how many eggs do we need exactly? Yeah. So it's really putting everything into real life experiences.
Yeah.
And meaningful to a student.
Right. It has some sense of reason why, rather than just as an outlay. I'm learning this because I'm supposed to.
That's exactly, physical therapy, for example, there's something that many of us can relate to. If you've been to physical therapy, you're there and they're doing these exercises and then you have to do these exercises. It's just so boring.
Yeah.
I know that there is a function of that because I'm going to get better, but the pain will be getting better, but it's not an immediate reinforcer.
Sure.
But now, if we can tie that physical therapy to something that we enjoy doing, so for some of our students, they're learning to walk. And if we just have them at the walker, which is a walking aid, kind of like for children, if we just have them walk 20 feet that way and then 20 feet back, there's no meaning to that.
Right.
But if we go and maybe deliver a letter to the school office, and then they get a sticker for that.
Right.
Now that becomes meaningful.
Yes.
And they are still practicing that walking.
Yes.
They're still doing this skill.
It's an accomplishment.
It's an accomplishment.
Yeah, and something for them to be proud of and be involved in. Now, give us just a sense of how you are supported, since you are a public school per se. The state obviously does the larger part of supporting you financially. Is that correct?
As an organization, as Oak Hill as an organization, yes, the state has, the state is a major funder, and it's specifically Department of Developmental Disabilities. Now, the school is supported by municipalities. So
Uh-huh.
really, the school district pays the tuition to Oak Hill
Sure.
to serve their students.
Sure. So,
But that is what schools
yeah,
support comes from.
and you would take students from any of the 169 towns.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we're spread out throughout the state of Connecticut, and we try to serve every single region of the state, because there definitely is a need, and we don't want children to travel too far.
Sure.
And we want them to stay closer to their communities, because that's where they will continue to live.
So do I understand correctly then that physically they may not come to the Hartford one, but there are outlying Oak Hill schools, if you will?
Yes.
Extensions.
Yes. So yes, we have Oak Hill schools in our HK. It's Higganum, really. It's Haddam Killingworth High School. We have a classroom. We're paying rent within a public school, just so that we have the best of both worlds to kind of integrate our kids with a peer group. So kids from Hartford, from Shoreline, all over, they go there. We have another classroom in Portland within an intermediate school. We have one in New Hartford, in Anna Antolini School. We have a classroom in Hebron, Connecticut. In Bristol, there's a large, that's a school on its own, in Bristol, Plainville, within Plainville Middle School. Which one am I missing? Hartford.
The heartbeat, the center of the...
Exactly, Hartford. We do have 4 classrooms there, so that is another school. And really, it started as a classroom readiness program that we called, where we accepted referrals that really had some challenging behaviors, that there were kids that were struggling and needed more of a private, setting, with a goal of integrating whenever they were ready to integrate into the public school. But the program evolved, and many of the parents, when they see, they just want that.
Sure. Well, talking about the different areas that you serve, and you have currently there's a shortage of teachers for the regular curriculums throughout schools in the United States. Tell us about where you are, status of the proper people, the licensed people, and so forth. Has there been an issue there in being able to hire the right folks?
Unfortunately, we are joining our nation in this shortage. And recently I was at the private state-approved private school association conference, annual conference, and they used an analogy of educators being marbles, and then we're all playing hungry hippo game. Of course. Grabbing each other's marbles.
Yeah, right. Right.
And the point is that we need to do a lot of advocacy at the state and federal level to see how can we increase those marbles. Right. Part of that is the professional recognition.
Of course.
Teachers, it is pretty difficult. I can't say that it's an easy job, but it's a beautiful job. I would never want to do anything else. But I've been doing this for many, many years. And I see it. I go home every single day knowing that I made a difference in some way for somebody.
Well, see, that's your reward. That's like walking the letter to the office, and you see what you're doing and it has purpose.
That's it.
Yeah.
But how do we get young people to know what I know after 37 years?
Fast learning curve. Yeah.
Yes. So we need to advocate to have that professional recognition. The salaries need to be
Actually, who
compatible.
sets the salaries? Yeah, who sets the salaries? Does the state have a voice in that, or how does that work?
Actually, there were some legislations this year due to advocacy, educator advocacy. There were some legislations that were specifying certain grants that the state will be giving, but that is for public school districts. That did not include private schools.
I see.
Which, I can understand that because we have our tuition. So if we want to raise our teacher's salary, our tuition goes up, which again goes, tuition is higher for the public schools.
Yeah.
But the state does not really have too much say in the teacher's salary. It's negotiated with the teacher union for the public schools.
All right.
And private schools are not included in a teacher retirement plan.
Oh, that's interesting.
It is very interesting, but I really, when we're recruiting teachers and teachers hear that, they kind of tend to go, "Oh, no, I'd rather go in a public school."
Right.
But when you look at, we had to become competitive to have quality teachers. So when, as part of the teacher retirement benefit, you do not receive Social Security.
Oh.
Unless you're working outside of the school district, unless you're working as in a different profession as well. So with us, we do have a pretty good retirement plan. We have a 403B plan, but then on top of that,
401, how does that differentiate from a 401k?
It's pretty much the same thing except for educational facilities and nonprofits.
I see. Well, and as you said, there's professional growth, which I think is definitely an advantage because people feel as though they've learned something in addition. It's a poor example, but if you're an electrician and then somewhere along the way you get to do an internship under a plumber and then gets extended to building houses, that continual growth in resume does add up, and it's something to be proud of. And I think there's a lot. I mean, it's very realistic given today's inflation, the cost of things, the cost of medicine, the cost of supporting your family, etc. The money income is very important, but I think that also, they say what the expression is that if you really like what you're doing, you'll make plenty of money at it.
Yeah.
And if you really like doing this and you like helping people and you like helping, because it goes so much further, Anna, than just the student itself. It's helping the mother and the father and the siblings. That's what you're supporting as well. This is an extended benefit. This is not just the student getting better or it's a very wide range. Grandparents, it's a broad ranging benefit to an entire family and to a community.
Absolutely.
People need to understand that some of these young people are, as you said, up until 22, then they need to transition to a job in the real world.
Yes.
And they can often be very highly functional. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
So
very, and that is part of what we do. That is part of our service. We have an individual, her job title is inclusion specialist, but really it's not just inclusion within schools, but rather into the community as well. And she has been working with many businesses in a community, and we've developed such beautiful relationships, one of which is Blue Chip Creamery. I'm not advertising, but I am so impressed with their willingness to accept our children and to literally give them jobs.
Sure.
And our kids, their Blue Chip Creamery is like an ice cream shop, so our kids love it. Meaningful.
nothing wrong with nice food.
Nothing wrong with excellent ice cream. And we have been collaborating now. I think we're going on to 3-4 years.
Yes.
And they have been giving our students such wonderful opportunities.
Yes.
There's so many more, organizations and small business, especially small businesses that are opening their doors, because our kids, they may have their challenges,
yes,
but they have such beautiful skills,
yes,
that some of us do not.
Yeah. Well, Anna, it's really been great talking to you today, and you can find out for our viewers, you can find out more about Oak Hill School and other programs and career opportunities at www.oakhillct.org. Overall, to follow the programs and see the entire website, that would be www.oakhillschool.oakhillct.org. Anna, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciated having you on, and we hope our viewers are getting a much broader view of the work that you've been doing for so long, you personally and Oak Hill School itself. And I invite our viewers to see this segment and all of our programs on ctvalleyviews.com. So thank you again. And we look forward to having you on again and hearing about the latest progress for everyone involved.
Thank you so much, Susan.
You're more than welcome.